Well, guys, we made it. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. We are with you for the next hour here on the Betting Pros live stream for the Super Bowl alongside Andrew Erickson and Pat Fitzmaurice. I'm Matt Perrault, and we've got you. Get ready, get comfortable. I got bets. Pat's got bets. Andrew's got a CVS receipt that we're going to go ahead and give you guys today here on the show. This is going to be a lot of fun as we get to the Eagles and the Chiefs, as Lane Johnson just tweeted. Let's hunt. If you are an Eagles fan, if you're a Chief fan, you're looking at history, a three-peat, which we've never seen before in NFL history. Fellas, great to be on with you guys. We haven't done this in a while. Three of you guys. We'll start in the middle with Andrew and then get to Pat. Andrew, how are you? Are you digging out of the snow yet?
Yes, I just did that a couple hours ago. So I am locked in, ready to go, talk about all these props. I mean, pull up a chair. I'm going to be here for a while, so I'm ready to ride.
Pat, I don't know. We missed the memo that we were supposed to have 15 bets on this game today. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Yeah, I've seen Erickson's list, and it's like Santa's list, basically. It's just enormous. So, yeah, I'll hope to squeeze my few bets in somewhere between Erickson's bets. But yeah, great to do this. Final football Sunday, final NFL Sunday of the 2024 season, and good way to end it. Pretty good matchup.
Yeah, see, you guys don't realize this. So our company is all remote. We're all everywhere, spread out. Like, I've met like 3 people for Betting Pros. They're all coming here to Vegas tomorrow. So we get to either like commend Andrew and be like, oh my God, or we can go drink with him and be like, holy crap, like what the hell happened? Like what was that? That Super Bowl was nuts. So they're all coming here. The whole company is coming here tomorrow. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Instant reaction we'll have to be able to give you guys the inside as to what's going to happen here today. Before we get to the game, guys, something for you guys to win. How about this? You guys, the winner of the signed Dak Prescott Cowboys helmet is Dale. Hey, Dale, we're going to be contacting you to win this prize. So stay on the lookout for this. Congratulations once again, Dale. You have won the signed Dak Prescott Cowboys helmet. And if you want a chance to win a signed Nick Chubb helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at PristineAuction.com, all you need to do is head over to bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review for the Betting Pros podcast, any of them, or subscribe to our social media channels, Betting Pros on X and TikTok, at Betting Pros NFL on Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you will receive. We will be announcing the winner right here on this very YouTube channel. So make sure the notifications are turned on and you could be alerted as to when the new episodes are dropping to claim your prize for that autographed Nick Chubb helmet. Go to bettingpros.com/contest to enter for free. Let's start with this conversation, guys. What do you make of this game from a hype standpoint? Because I can tell you here in Vegas, which is normally considered the second best place to be, if you're not in New Orleans, you want to be in Las Vegas. There is no buzz to this game. Like, it's a Super Bowl, but we've seen it 2 years ago with the same coaches, same quarterbacks. Yes, Saquon Barkley's in this game now. That's a new feature to this. But Andrew, we'll start with you. What's your level from a country standpoint? Like, is it a Super Bowl and everyone's fired up, or is this kind of like we've seen this and the Chief fatigue is real?
I think the fatigue is real. I mean, I think I've seen things where people talk about, I'm going to boycott the Super Bowl. I'm going to do other things on my Super Bowl Sunday. I'm sick of the Chiefs winning all the time. Now, maybe coming from a Patriots fan perspective, I have a little bit more, I like seeing history made. Like, again, being part of the most recent dynasty, like, I really appreciate when someone's going for greatness, going for this three-peat. So, look, it's going to still take a lot for Patrick Mahomes to dethrone Tom Brady, in my opinion, to be the GOAT. But, hey, a three-peat, that's going to put him well on his way to getting up to Tom Brady status. So, I think it's worth the chase. So, that's why I'm hyped up about this matchup. And people are complaining, but what do the Chiefs do? They only play in close games. So if this is a close game, a close Super Bowl, isn't that what all you can ask for? Again, if it's lower scoring, if it's like that Rams-Patriots game a couple years back, okay, then maybe that's disappointing. But, I mean, the total's 48.5 points. Even if it hits the under, I mean, you're still seeing north of 20 points for both teams. You're going to see both offenses score at some point. So I think that, I mean, I'm excited for this game. And maybe the fact that so many people are in New Orleans, again, New Orleans is hyped. Like everything I've heard from that area, like if you're at the Super Bowl, like you were going to be in for an amazing time. But I guess the rest of the country is kind of like, meh, I don't know.
Pat, for you, how do you feel about this game?
The Chiefs' fatigue is real, Matt, and it is palpable. But to Erickson's point, I mean, do we not like this matchup? Are we not getting a matchup between two of the best, if not the two best teams in the NFL. And I know there are cases to be made for the Lions, or at least before they had all their injuries, the Ravens, the Bills. But this is a really good matchup. I'm getting more excited about it. Like over the course of the last 2 weeks, I've grown increasingly excited about this game. And I understand that people are off the Chiefs, but it's funny how just a few years ago, people were pretty excited about the Chiefs, and I felt like they were this public team, like everyone wanted to see Patrick Mahomes validated with the Super Bowl. And, I guess they've made a heel turn over the course of the last couple of years, in no small part because of this perception that they are favored by the officials.
Yep. I think it's a gigantic point. The referee conversation is huge. If you guys were watching social media, a guy named Rich Shirtley was the one who was asking all those questions to Patrick Mahomes. He asked him, who is your favorite referee? Patrick didn't like that. He asked Travis Kelce, who do you love more, Taylor Swift or a phantom pass interference call in the end zone? Which was pretty good. He didn't like that question either. So like that's the generalized feeling, is that people, because the Patriots were villains, to Andrew's point about being Patriot fans, which I am also one. Like we understood like being the villain. Everybody hated Belichick. They hated Brady and the success and everything that came with the Patriots over 20 years. But the difference, I think, with the Chiefs is the overexposure. Like Brady did commercials, but not like Mahomes. We never saw Belichick do commercials during his tenure. Like he's doing them now or doing different things, but like Andy Reid is everywhere doing all sorts of commercials and showing personality. Travis Kelce is everywhere. The cheek fatigue is isn't just beyond, Andrew, it's beyond football, right? I mean, it's into the pop culture sphere.
Yeah, that is true. It has definitely, it has gone beyond the NFL sport. I mean, it's funny, like who's going to be the most famous person at this game? We have the president's going to be there. Taylor Swift's going to be like,
Good point.
So yes, again, if you're in New Orleans, like this is I think a rare occurrence of how hyped up this game should be. But I guess the rest of the country is just kind of like not really seeing it in the similar way. Maybe everyone needs to get to New Orleans ASAP. Come on.
Well, no, it makes sense though, right? Because New Orleans might lose the Super Bowl. There was a big article in Front Office Sports that came out this week about the fact that this city isn't really designed for the new Super Bowl because of how many people internationally are coming into this game, that like ticket prices are dropping, but hotel rooms throughout the entire week were at record highs. Like they have 1/4 the number of hotel rooms that Vegas has in proximity to the event. So like there are other markets like a Los Angeles or Santa Clara for San Francisco that are vying for this event and doing a better job from just a production standpoint, in an attendance standpoint. So I get why New Orleans is throwing down and going like, hey, we got to make this really, really special. As we start the breakdown, either one of you on like really crazy novelty props, like Kendrick Lamar number of songs, or like which song Kendrick Lamar is going to play first. Either, I don't get involved in any market like that. Either one of you guys involved in that market or any market like that?
No? I am not. Despite my laundry list of bets, I did not dabble into the. I mean, because what? I mean, because a lot of that is you just know something. Like someone on the inside, and that's how you get insider information.
Numbers 10.5, by the way.
I don't have sources. I wish I did, but I don't.
Heads or tails, Pat? We doing the coin flip?
No, I'm not doing that one, Matt. I do like that at least they don't make us pay juice on those bets if we do want to bet it, but the craziest thing I am doing is I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan. So okay. I have got Giannis Antetokounmpo to outscore the Kansas City Chiefs today. That's my craziest bet. A little crossover to
I love that bet. I need Giannis to score 25 points. That's all I need.
Yeah, it's something. I want to say it's like minus 140 or 135 or something.
Okay.
But
I don't mind that at all. Wow, that's really interesting. Jason Wolf is in the chat. That's not like the Jason Wolf, is it? That would be wild if it's the Jason Wolf. That would be something. Flashback to my radio days back in WEI in Boston days. That'd be something. All right, let's start with the side. We'll get to the total, and then we'll get to our plays. Just at the top, it's 1. This number literally splashed at pick at Circa because they got a gigantic bet that came in heavily on the Chiefs. Oh, sorry, on the Eagles, rather. And the number went to pick, and then it went right back to -1 for the Chiefs. Just, Andrew, -1, throw point spread out. Who wins this game and why?
Kansas City Chiefs. They win, and it's because of all the reasons you've heard from any type of media you've absorbed this week. Is the Eagles probably have the better team, but the Chiefs have the better quarterback and probably the better head coach. No, actually, not probably. They do have the better head coach. So those combination has just been the reason why the Chiefs will win. Mahomes is 17-3 in the postseason. He's lost 3 times. That's it. And it was twice against Brady, once against Burrow. They've won 9 straight since their loss in the postseason. Mahomes is 8-0 against Vic Fangio defenses. Like, 2 weeks to scheme up against a defense that he's familiar with. Yes, the personnel is different, but I think that the Chiefs' offense has actually looked a lot better over the last 4 games. And one of the big inclusions that I don't think is being factored enough in the entire aggregate of the Chiefs' offense this year has been Marquise Brown. Like, there's a reason why Mahomes has been more efficient, even though it hasn't shown up in Marquise Brown's box score. Him being on the field compared to guys like Justin Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster, defenses have to play the Chiefs differently. They actually have to respect a vertical passing threat. So even though the Chiefs haven't gone vertical, well, dome conditions, maybe they do take a shot or two here, because I don't know if the Eagles are going to be expecting, because they haven't done it all year. Well, if they're ever going to do it, it would make sense to do it in the game that matters the most. So I like the Chiefs here. Not going to continue to bet against them. Again, in the offseason, I made 2 bets that were futures. One was Eagles to win the NFC, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. I hit the NFC one, and there's a reason why I went that far. Whereas, nope, Eagles not Super Bowl, because when push came to shove, when these teams would ultimately meet up in the Super Bowl game, I was going to be on the Chiefs side. So sticking with the Chiefs.
So what was the price on the Chiefs to win it all that you got? 4-1, 3-1?
I think it's plus 500. Yeah.
So why wouldn't you at least just take an Eagles to make sure you don't lose, to just hop on the Eagles today?
I mean, it's not enough of a bet to hedge it. Yeah.
Okay. So I always look to hedge. I always want to take down, even if it's $10. I just don't want, I don't want to lose $10. So I always look, you can either, are flat or you win 40 type of thing. So like, I always look to hedge just because that's just how I'm risk adverse. But Pat, for you, who wins?
There are power ranking systems, rating systems that suggest the Eagles are the better team in this matchup. I mean, the Eagles are 5th overall in DVOA. Chiefs are 8th. I know the Massey Peabody power rankings suggest the Eagles are about half a point better on a neutral field. And I think the Eagles probably have the better roster 1-53. But the Chiefs have the better quarterback, Matt, and they have the better head coach. And I do not want to bet against the Super Bowl team that has the better QB and the better head coach, especially not when they're only giving 1.5 points. So Patrick Mahomes, as Erickson mentioned, he's 17-3 in playoff games, 3-1 in Super Bowls, 8-0 straight up and against the spread as a playoff favorite of 3 or fewer points. Andy Reid's overall playoff record for his career, 28-16. And Reid's record is incredible when he has an extra week to prepare. He's 21-4 all time coming off bye weeks, and his team has won the last 2 Super Bowls. The man obviously knows what to do with an extra week of prep time. Nick Sirianni, 6-11 straight up and 7-10 against the spread as an underdog over his coaching career. I've got to take the Chiefs in this one.
The stat that our friends at Wager Talk pulled up, Ralph Michaels, who does an incredible job for them with stats and trends, I couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe it. And I think there is something to be said for it. And trends are your friend until they're not. But the fact that a team that did not have a bye versus a team that did have a bye, and I know the bracket's a little bit different now, but the fact that that team without the bye is 10-0 in Super Bowls is fascinating to me, because you would think that with the extra week off, that would erase that trend, that it just wouldn't happen. But that's been a legitimate trend, that the Chiefs had a bye and the Eagles did not. And the number is 10-0. It's only 10 games, but we've only played 58 Super Bowls. So 10's a big damn number of only 58 of these. So does it get erased? The Eagles, have been a hot team over the last 3-4 months. I think the Eagles win the game, but I'm taking a complete coward's way out by teasing it and going up to 7.5 and say, okay, if the Chiefs win, the Chiefs are going to win by 1 score. This is all turnovers. This is going to come down to which team makes the mistake. And what the Chiefs have done in big moments under Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes is they do not hurt themselves and they wait for you to step on your own toe. And this has been a refrain with, look, all the games at Arrowhead, all the games against the Bills in the playoffs. You go through the history of Patrick Mahomes, and it's been not making the big mistake. I think Mahomes throws a pick today. It's one of my prop bets. I think the Eagles make a big play. I think we see a turnover here in a key moment, in a key play where I think you're right, Andrew. I think they're going to stretch the field. And I think that helps the pass rush for the Eagles get home. I think the offensive line for the Chiefs could be a problem today. We're once again moving guards out to play left tackle and shifting things around. And then we've got a secondary that's very opportunistic. And we've seen big plays being made. Cooper DeJean and company stepping up and making big plays. Slay. I think one of those corners makes a gigantic interception here in this game that could turn the tide here. But I'm not going to be stunned if you guys are right. I just hope that you're not right by 8 points or more. Like if you're right, make sure the Chiefs just don't win by 8 points or more. I'm going to tease it up to 7.5 and take the Eagles up plus 7.5. The total is really interesting because 2 years ago, it was 38-35. In Vegas, the big bets we have seen come in are all on the under. Yet today, we're seeing this number creep back up to 49 at most sports books. Andrew, over or under? Where are you?
Well, I am known as the Undertaker, so I am on the underside of this game, and I think it makes sense that you're seeing money come in on the pushing the total back up to 49 because people want points. Like nobody wants to bet the Super Bowl. Like these are all my best unders for the Super Bowl. Enjoy the game. I hope nothing happens. Like that's not what people want to do. People want to see points. People want to see action. But I think that just like from a trends perspective, like it heavily backs the game going under the total. The Eagles have allowed 23 points on defense 3 times this season. The Chiefs have allowed 4 teams to score 27 points against them since the beginning of last year. And twice it was against the Buffalo Bills. And one of it was against the Broncos in week 18 when they didn't play their starters. So you're looking at those key numbers, 23 points to 27 points. That's putting up the total at 50, right? So yes, a little bit over 49, but like those are in the most rare extreme circumstances that these teams are allowing those types of point totals. So to me, this screams more like a game that is 21-24, so mid to low 20s from each team. So I think it's a sweat, no doubt that the total is going to be. I think it's going to be close when it comes down to it, but I think it's going to just fall short. And even going back to another Vic Fangio trend, I know that the popular one is that, Mahomes is undefeated against Vic Fangio. The totals in those games are 2 and 6 towards the over. So yes, and a lot of those matchups the Chiefs have won, but those games have not been high scoring. So I like the under at 48.5 and obviously at 49 if it gets, that's where it closes.
Pat, for you, over under 49.
I have to counter Erickson on this one. I'm going over.
Okay.
I just want to follow the trend established in recent playoff games since the divisional round. After some of the lesser offenses among the playoff teams were filtered out in the wild card round, 5 of the 6 games have produced 50 or more points. And the average point total of those games has been 59 points. So since the divisional round, we've seen a lot of scoring. I'm going to bet that trend to continue.
So I, again, have taken the coward's way out and by teasing this up and going under 55, because I do think I think Erickson's right about the fact that we're going to be right on the number. I mean, this is going to be a missed field goal. This is going to be a missed extra point. Like this is going to be right there. So I want to move it up to 55. Cross 51, 52, 53, and 54, which are all key numbers from a total perspective, and go under. I don't mind it if you want to move it Pat's direction and you want to go 49 and pull it down to 43 and go over. But that gets you like a 24-20 final that gets you kind of right there if you want to be there. But I think the Eagles, if I'm going to go with the Eagles, I have to go with the under because that means they're controlling the line of scrimmage and they're running the football. Because, I mean, a couple other trends to look at. Again, trends are your friend, but the team with the better win percentage is 1 in 16 ATS in the Super Bowl since 2003. Like 1 in 16. The Chiefs have a better winning percentage than the Eagles. So like, here we go with another trend going towards the Eagles, pointing towards Philadelphia. But if I like Philly, I have to like the under because we're going to run the ball. We're going to play ball control. Saquon and the offensive line are going to be the key. If we're dealing with a high-scoring game, it puts a lot of pressure on Jalen Hurts, puts a lot of pressure on this passing attack, and we'll get to the prop bets here. But I do think that there's an opportunity here to look at Jalen Hurts as a potential MVP in this game because if the Eagles win, he may need to throw the football in order for them to get there. Speaking of which, if you guys were going to bet an MVP market, anybody you like the Chiefs. So I'm assuming you like Mahomes?
Yes.
Yes, I agree with Mahomes. as the Super Bowl
Anybody
MVP.
else potential? Any Kelsey? Anybody? Hollywood Brown? Anybody else have the potential to get there?
So an interesting trend that I looked at, and this is one of the reasons last year I was really on Kelsey as Super Bowl MVP was entering the last 4 Super Bowls that had gone under the total, a non-quarterback won Super Bowl MVP. Last year, that didn't come to fruition because Mahomes ended up winning, but it was something that stuck back in my mind. I was looking at my notes. I was like, well, okay, so I do like the under in this game. So for me, again, kind of going what you said about how can I hedge against this, it would be taking a shot on like one of those Eagles wide receivers to win Super Bowl MVP, where let's say Barkley doesn't score the touchdowns, Hurts scores his rushing touchdowns, but one of these particular receivers ends up scoring, 2 multiple touchdowns, goes over 100 receiving yards in a game that's more low scoring. Well, that's the game script that you get pass catchers to win the Super Bowl MVP. So I was actually able to I approach it differently where I think this wasn't my favorite bets, but I got 12-1 for the position of the Super Bowl MVP to be a wide receiver. So that gives me
all of them. Wow.
All of them. Again, doesn't include Kelsey, which is obviously a reason why it's 12-1, but I wanted to buy into that trend a little bit because even though it didn't happen last year, I was like, this was something that I was on last year. So I'm kind of taking another long shot dart at it. Just something I thought was interesting.
Do you think this is a 1-score game? I mean, is this going to be the 18th consecutive 1-score game win for the Chiefs?
I think so. So
Pat, do you?
Yeah.
Do you? Same thing?
I tend to think it's going to be within a score. Yes.
I mean, if they do it again, it would be somewhat, and I'm betting it, that it's either Eagles victory or a Chiefs by 1 score. That might be the most, I keep on waiting for the luck to run out. And maybe that's just the Patriot fan in me looking at it going like, at some point, you keep on playing these games, you play with fire long enough, you're going to get burned. And like the Patriots against the Giants left the field twice with Tom Brady with the lead, and they handed it over to a leaky defense, and it burned them. And I just wonder, that's where Jalen Hurts comes in for me for an MVP standpoint, because they want to give it to a quarterback. They would prefer to give the MVP to a quarterback. And if Hurts is doing what I think he's going to do today, everyone is on Saquon Barkley, everything. And Saquon very well might be there. But to Erickson's point, you have Spags and you have Reed with 2 weeks to prepare to stop the run for Philadelphia. I think the Eagles, if they're smart, and hopefully they're doing this, they're going to zig where everyone thinks they're going to zag, and they throw the ball a ton to Devonta Smith, who I think goes over 50 yards receiving today, and also A.J. Brown, where they take a couple of deep shots early. The track itself, guys, playing indoors, Pat, we'll start with you. Do you make anything of the indoor environment and the fast track in New Orleans for the game speed?
Just makes me like the over a little bit more. That's really about it.
For you, Andrew?
It's one of my Swifty specials.
What's that?
So on DraftKings, my Swifty special. So it's one of these. So a lot of these books have like Taylor Swift specials or whatever. So it's called Blank Space, and it's for Xavier Worthy to catch a pass over 50 yards. So he has only done this one time all season long. Again, this is a long shot. I think it's at plus 1,400 is when I bet it. So again, like to have some fun here, Perrault. Okay, we're gonna have some fun. And the reason I like it because,
by the way, I asked you if you were in any wonky markets. This would be considered you're betting a Taylor Swift prop.
Okay, but I think so. My edge here that I think that is available. So you're looking at the Chiefs have played in 2 dome games this year. One of them was a retractable roof, so technically 3. One of those games where the only time Worthy he's actually gone for 50-yard catch was in a dome. So I think that's one of the reasons why this game, I think, will be close to that total. And to Fitz's point, like that works in his advantage that these teams play outdoors. Like these teams have played all their playoff games outdoors in Kansas City and Philadelphia, like 2 cold weather places. And now you're putting them inside in the fast track where we have a lot of elite speed. Like we haven't seen Worthy speed indoors in a long time. And the last time we did, he did have a 50-yard catch. So that's why I like him to go over 50 yards or have a 50-yard reception or longer. Because I don't know if the Eagles are going to be necessarily as ready for it. I mean, he's got speed. So I think that's a big difference between him facing guys like Quinyon Mitchell, facing Cooper DeJean in the slot. If he gets matched up on Darius Slay, I mean, I think they're going to take a shot with someone like Worthy. So, that's one of my long shots.
Interesting. All right, let's get to this CVS receipt list of props for you, and then we'll get to Pat's, and then we'll get to mine. Let's start with Samaje Perine, over 7.5 receiving yards for the running back. You think he's involved today? He has kind of a weird, his role with this offense has been sort of hit or miss.
Yeah, he is very situational based. He comes into the game basically knowing, hey, I'm going to get the ball on this play. Like, he'll play a handful of plays, usually on third downs, but I think it takes 1 2-minute drive for him to be out there. And yeah, it took the last play of the AFC Championship game for him to get involved, but he's constantly gone over 6.5 receiving yards. 6 of his last 7 games, 14 of his last 15 over on the season. This number's actually gone up, I think, to like 8.5. So
okay,
again, you got to be careful with that, but I still think that he's going. I mean, he's just hit this so consistently throughout the year. If it beats me, it beats me. But I mean, everything is suggesting, hey, this guy gets at least 7 receiving yards every single time he plays. And in a game where it is a little bit more back and forth, 2-minute drill, I think he'll be out there. I don't think he'll catch pass. So,
let's. I like Jalen Hurts too, so this is one of mine as well, Pat. Sorry, Andrew.
I think it's all 3 of us.
All of us are on this.
Yeah.
Okay, we're all on this. Well, Pat, why do you like it?
Yeah, I mean, he has made 17 starts this season, Jalen Hurts has, and he has had a touchdown run in 12 of them.
Yeah.
And we're getting it at minus 120.
Right.
Yeah, that's a really good price. So I just math.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it too, because I mean, I'm also, because I'm trying to do kind of like a double win on this, because I think Hurts will push from the 1 to get a rushing touchdown, to get a touchdown, and to get the shortest touchdown of under 1.5 yards. So I just kind of like, if I'm going to bet the under 1.5 yards, the most likely scorer for a touchdown of under 1.5 yards is Jalen Hurts. So like, I'm going to go ahead and just correlate that and go ahead and bet Jalen Hurts, as well as betting the under 1.5 yard touchdown. So I just think it's too many times the ball gets placed at the 1. I know it's become very popular in the content space. I bet this every year. I've been betting it now for about 7 years straight, where it's just blind every year, shortest touchdown. And the books have caught on. The juice, I paid 175. It's 185. It's 195, depending on what book you're looking at, because the pros are betting it too. So they're driving the number up from a juice perspective. But that is correlated to, I think, to Jalen Hurts just coming in and having a rushing touchdown, or just him getting loose in the red zone and picking up 5-10 yards to score himself, because he is really able to do that with his legs. Where are you guys on Jalen Hurts just rushing numbers today? Because everyone's so high on Saquon. Pat, could this be a Hurts rushing game as well?
It could be. I didn't bet it, Matt. I just didn't see enough value there. I mean, I thought the number was pretty spot on. So I didn't see any value, but it would not surprise me. And the nice thing about Hurts is, like, he can break a long one. So if you've got him, I just generally do not like betting quarterback rushing totals, simply because I have lost too many on kneel downs at the end of the game over my lifetime.
Fair. Andrew, for you, 37.5 is the number right now. The low, 38.5. You want the under for Hurts rushing.
So I haven't bet any of the rushing stuff with Hurts either. I'm with you, Perrault, when it comes to, I like his passing stuff. Yeah. I just think it's so low. Like, this is a game where the Eagles are underdogs. And if you look at the games where the Eagles have been trailing or have been underdogs, like, he's throwing more in these games. So that's why you can't just take the sample size of everything the Eagles have done this year when they've been winning and leading in all of these games, where they can have the luxury of feeding Saquon Barkley as often as they can. So I think he's going to have to throw more. Again, as an underdog this year, he's over 236 passing yards, 2 of those 3 games. The game he went under was against the Ravens, where he didn't throw in the second half at all. Like, he did not, he attempted like 5 passes. So is that going to happen in the Super Bowl? I find it very hard to believe, if this game is a close, tight game. He's gone over his and the other thing too, with his passing prop, he hasn't played that many. How many games do you guys think he's played with Dallas Goedert, AJ Brown, and Devonta Smith all healthy?
All games? 3 together?
All 3 together. How many games do you think he's played with all 3 of those guys?
5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's played 7 games. He's gone over 212.5 passing yards, 4 of 7 games.
Yeah. And you got him on a fast track. Sal, can you slide over on the passing yards? So I'm looking at 213, 210, 214.5, but those are prize picks and other non-books. Do we have books up there? Can we switch that over to a sport? I got 199 on this. So I'm stunned if this number is all the way up to 214.5.
Well, did you what was the juice? Or what was Was it
like
like
140, 130?
So yeah, I think that's ESPN bet. Like they have because I bet the same one where their one was much lower than everyone else's, but you had to pay a
Heavy
lot
juice.
more for
Yeah,
it.
it's heavy juice. And I'm fine with at least because on prop bets, I only bet about a half unit on prop bets. So I'm more cool laying juice on props, laying 140. I believe I laid on it. But I mean, like if we're up to 214, like that's 15 yards of value. Like holy mother, like that's wild. So that would be rather interesting to see if that's where that number is going to close at from a passing perspective. Some major steam coming up on that. All right, let's go back to Andrew's props. So those are your first two on this with Pirine and Hertz for your first two props. Your third one is Dallas Goedert. You are bucking the trend, my friend.
Yes.
This is against everyone. I love it.
Yeah, so Goddard, this is definitely my contrarian take on Dallas Goedert because everyone and their mother-in-law is betting the over on Dallas Goedert receiving yards specifically. So I'm not looking at the yardage prop per se. I'm looking at the receptions. Okay. And this is because I'm going back to, okay, what has Dallas Goedert done when his two teammates have been healthy with him? Like he doesn't go over this number consistently. He actually goes under it 9 of his last 14 games. He's got under 4.5 receptions dating back to 2023. If you combine his receiving yards under with the receptions, like you're getting plus 750. Like the last 50% of his games, he's gone under 4.5 receptions, but gone over on his receiving yards. So I understand where he could still go over the receiving yards. Dallas Goedert, what's his strength? Yards after the catch, right? So, and what he's done over the last couple of weeks, he's generated a ton of yards after the catch. But I've gotten this receptions prop. I bet it at plus money. He's under 4.5. He has gone over 4.5 catches one time in his last 6 games. Once in his last 6 games. So, in the times that he has gone over his prop, who has he played? The Washington Commanders, both times. So, I think it's a little bit more of that specific matchup where he's been really involved versus, well, in the aggregate, he really isn't consistently hitting 5 catches in any of his games. So, yes, I think that the receiving yards could technically hit still. Again, if he rips off a 30-yard catch and run, okay, I can see it. Tip my cap to everyone that wins, but I don't know if he gets to 5 catches. So I like the under here. Again, he's gone over 4.5 catches one time his last 6 games. So I'll take the under.
Pat, you like the over in the game. Do you think Goddard does what everyone thinks, that he dices this Chief defense over the middle?
Boy, I think Erickson laid out a really strong case. I do not currently have the under on Dallas Goedert receptions, but I might have to add that to my card after hearing Erickson.
Yeah, it's against everybody. I love the play. I mean, it's literally like that was like the refrain from everyone we talked to down. I didn't go to New Orleans, but we had a bunch of people on BVB from New Orleans and like Goddard. Like it's just everyone is on Dallas Goedert today. And whenever I see the group think go on, I'm like, oh gosh, this could be not what you think is going to happen here with Dallas Goedert today. And look, if everyone knows it, the Chiefs know it, and Spagnuolo knows it. So they may be looking to key in on him and take away him, but the receptions is a cool way of doing it because he may pop one and then you survive that 50-yard Goddard run, catch, and then the Chiefs will adjust and maybe take him out of the game. Hopkins, anytime touchdown scorer. When I read this on the board, Andrew, I was like, I had this bet queued up. I was going to bet this. And then I just backed off of it because I was like, man, I don't know. Because it's going to be a 2-yard catch. Like it's not going to be long. It's going to be like a quick in the red zone play action over the middle type of thing. But why do you like Hopkins? Because I think it's a good bet.
I mean, 6-1. If he's on the field, he's in the red zone.
Yep.
I feel like we all know this is going to happen where they get into the red zone and the Chiefs, again, this is where they've struggled offensively. It really has been in the red zone, and who could be that X factor would be DeAndre Hopkins. He hasn't really been super involved. He's losing out on snaps to Juju Smith-Schuster, but it's just so obvious to me. And I guess to everyone else, it's like, he's going to be in the red zone. Like there's a reason why his receiving yards prop is 9.5 yards or whatever, because no one's expecting us. Well, except Fitz. No one's expecting him to have a monster receiving game, but I think if he is used, he's going to be used in the red zone. So 6-1, I just thought those odds also were really, really nice for a player that I know is going to have a red zone role and will likely be involved. So especially near the end zone. So I like DeAndre Hopkins.
Pat, you like Hopkins as well, just in a different way, right?
Yeah, I've got a bet on Hopkins to get 40 plus receiving yards.
Wow.
This morning I checked it. It was plus 510 on DraftKings. I got it at plus 610 earlier in the week.
Good for
And
you.
so my case here, and I do understand the landscape has gotten a little different for Hopkins, and his usage has been trending in the wrong direction, not playing as many snaps or running as many routes as he was after the Chiefs first acquired him. But it's the first Super Bowl appearance of Hopkins' 12-year career, so it's hard for me to imagine him being frozen out of the game plan. Yes, he has been a ghost in these two playoff games the Chiefs have had, one 11-yard catch on 3 targets. And we're obviously not seeing DeAndre Hopkins at the height of his powers at this stage in his career, but Hopkins had at least 29 receiving yards in each of his first 9 games with the Chiefs after they got him in that late October trade. And he had more than 50 receiving yards in 4 of those 9 games. So even though it's an older version of DeAndre Hopkins, it's still DeAndre Hopkins, man. And I like the price we're getting on Hopkins to get 40 plus receiving yards. I mean, I got it at 6-1. You can get it at 5-1. I don't think it's better than 50-50 that he does it, but I like the odds proposition there.
It's not the value's in it. I like both plays. I like the touchdown play because I think the red zone comes into play. The 40 yards. My only worry is that he just hasn't been running routes. Look at his numbers in the playoffs. They just haven't been running routes where they're targeting him. Does he get the targets to get that, or is it on one big play? He can get it on one big play, and it's just he gets 30 of the 40 yards you need just on one big catch and gets a big chunk out of it. It's the Hopkins angle I think is live. I think he could be an interesting X factor, and frankly, Juju Smith-Schuster might as well. Like, another wideout that tends to not get a lot of attention. That may, because he's a veteran presence, may have a chance to have a game in the Super Bowl. All right, let's continue on Erickson's props here as what he has bet for Super Bowl 59. Wow, Hollywood Brown to catch a pass on the first Chief drive. You're getting really specific, Erickson. Why?
Well, I mean, I could have been 10-1. He catches the first pass in the game. If you really want to be bonkers there, I feel confident that they're going to get Marquise Brown a target on the first drive because they've done it in 3 of the last 4 games, all playoff games. So I've noticed that trend.
Yeah.
And
well, the first pass of the game's dangerous because if you lose the coin flip and the Eagles have the ball first.
Yeah. So I have done, I guess some type of ladders with this where very small amount sizes on. He catches the first pass. He catches the first pass for the Chiefs. And then the largest wager would be on him to catch a pass on the Chiefs opening drive, which again, he's had a target in 3 of their last 4 games. I feel very confident he's going to get a target. If he drops it, so be it. That's why it's called gambling. And I'll be tilting with everyone else that tails it. But I think he's going to get a target just based on what we've seen the Chiefs do on the opening script. And again, going back to, they've had 2 weeks to prepare. They know what they're doing. And just hoping that Marquise Brown doesn't have the nerves and that he squeezes the football.
Xavier Worthy, first touchdown score. These are lottery plays now, Erickson. Why do you like Worthy here to score first?
So this one I'm looking back at. So besides Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, Xavier Worthy has the most touchdowns of any of the other players remaining. So he's really involved, especially from the red zone. He can score from anywhere on the field because of his speed that he has. And the thing that I pulled, and this is kind of my deep dive, looking back at the Vic Fangio matchups with the Kansas City Chiefs when he was with the Miami Dolphins. The same guy scored the first touchdown in both those games against the Miami Dolphins in that Vic Fangio defense. Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice was the first touchdown in both those games. Who's in the Rashee Rice role now? Xavier Worthy.
Right.
So 12-1 for the Chiefs. I mean, he scored the most touchdowns on the Chiefs, but you're getting longer odds with him versus Kelsey versus Hunt versus those other players. So I think it's really good value. And I think that he is live kind of in a lot of different scenarios because of the skill set he possesses, the role that he is in. So again, I love betting first touchdowns. I think it's a really fun market to bet in. And Xavier Worthy has kind of been the guy I've honed in on since the beginning of the Super Bowl matchup. So Xavier Worthy.
Rookie. I think the contrarian thought is that rookies tend to not have big games in their first ever Super Bowl, and being rookies, they tend to be veteran coaches may not trust them as much as they had during the regular season, just because they could fumble, they could make mistakes, they could just not play the typical way. But 12-1 is 12-1. That's a good play on a guy who leads the team in touchdown scores. We know that they get the ball to him in a variety of ways, whether it be a speed sweep or whether it be a slant or whether it be a go. They use him quite a bit. We talked about already your Swifties special with the blank space there, but I I'm on Devontae Smith 50 or more. You like it more than I do. You like 70 or more. What's the juice you're getting on that?
I think you can move it up to it's like plus 190, plus 200. So you're getting, look, again, I'm kind of lower on Goddard than the consensus is kind of my fade. And then Smith, like that's who I think is going to have the big game for the Eagles among their wide receivers.
Agreed.
I mean, he's owned the Chiefs. He has had in his NFL career, he has more 99-yard games against the Chiefs than any other opponent.
Yep.
He's played the Commanders. He's played the Dallas Cowboys. Like he's played some bad defenses. The Giants. He's had no more big games than against the Chiefs. Like that is the team that he has owned. He has owned Steve Spagnuolo's defense. Again, a little bit different based on the quarterback play, but if the Eagles are in a pass game script where they're down because Mahomes gets up or whatever, I think Smith's going to be really involved. I think that he's going to make some of these marquee sideline catches that he's so good at making. We know the Chiefs play a ton of man coverage. I think AJ Brown and Devonta Smith, they're both really good against man coverage. So Jalen Hurts got to take some shots, and I think Smith's going to be on the receiving end of a lot of them. So I like Devonta Smith.
Guys, maximize your prop betting success with the BettingPros prop bet cheat sheet. Instantly compare sportsbook lines with expert projections to find the best value, like we're talking about right now here for the Super Bowl. Customize your bets by filtering props by matchup, odds, and bet type, ensuring you only see the most profitable opportunities. Get tailored recommendations and track winning trends with ease using this comprehensive tool. Take your prop betting up to the next level at bettingpros.com/props or on the BettingPros sports betting app. Speaking of the sports app, you can download the BettingPros app. Those QR codes on the screen that you have been seeing as we've been going through our prop bets. You guys can point your camera at your computer screen and it will take you right to the place where you guys can go and download the BettingPros app. If you guys right there, you guys go download that QR code in the Google Play or Apple Store, and you guys can get the BettingPros app right there. And the prop bet cheat sheet is right under picks. You guys can go look at prop bet analyzers. Pretty cool as well. You can combine the two. I use it every night when I'm doing NBA player props. Very cool to go check it out on your screen right now with the QR code for the BettingPros app. All right, Pat, let's get to your plays. We talked about a couple of them already, but prop bets for you coming up here for the Eagles and the Chiefs. And guys, if there are any movements on lines, I'll let you know. So far, we're still at 1 and we're at 48.5 or 49 here going on. Jalen Hurts, me and you, we're going head to head, my friend. Let's middle this because I got over 99.5. You got under 213. Why do you like the under for Hurts?
Yeah, under 213.5. Hurts has thrown for more than 200 yards just twice in his last 8 games. He has averaged only 23.3 pass attempts per game over that span. And that doesn't include that week 16 game against the Commanders where he got knocked out with a concussion. Since the Eagles week 5 bye, there has only been one game in which Hurts threw 30 or more passes. So I just expect a run heavy game plan for the Eagles and expect Hurts to fall short of this number. Like if they do have to play catch up, good chance I don't win this bet. But if they play a close game throughout, or if the Eagles are leading for most of this one, I don't think Hurts gets home on that. And sort of related, I like AJ Brown under 70.5 receiving yards. Yes, he had 96 yards against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, but 1 catch for 10 yards against Green Bay in the wild card round, 2 catches for 14 yards against the Rams in the divisional round. Maybe this is another game where he is reading a book on the sideline because he is so idle. So, and the Chiefs held opponents' number 1 receivers to 60.5 yards per game during the regular season. I just don't like the overall trajectory of the Philly passing game.
Okay. We talked about Hurts. We talked about AJ Brown. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. This seems to be just like a rinse and repeat bet, Pat. Just bet it every game, right?
Yeah, and we're getting plus money on this one. Plus 135 is what I got it at. Over the last 4 seasons, Kelce scored at least 1 touchdown in 9 of the Chiefs' 12 playoff games. I just feel like the price is too good on that one.
We talked about Hopkins MVP as well, being Patrick Mahomes correlated, right? You like the Chiefs, you got to go with the Mahomes MVP, right?
Exactly. And you figure if the Chiefs win, there's a 95% likelihood Mahomes is the MVP. So if you think the Chiefs are going to win, getting Mahomes to be the MVP at plus money seems like pretty good value.
You need someone to have like a 2 touchdown reception day and 100 yards, I think, to knock out. If the Chiefs wind up winning, I mean, I guess maybe it could be, if it's a, like Andrew had referenced, the 13-3 Patriots Rams, like maybe if there's like a 9-3 type of game and you give it to Harrison Buckner, who, you know, he kicks 3 field goals, so he's the MVP. but hard to imagine if the Chiefs win that Patrick Mahomes is not winning the MVP. It's too correlated. It's too much of a consistent play, I think. And frankly, for the Eagles too, if the Eagles win, it's most likely going to be Jalen Hurts, unless Saquon Barkley has a monster game running the football. We've touched on a couple of my props already, but we'll roll through the plays that I like today, and then we'll get to some game props from all of us. I like Mahomes to throw a pick. I think he's going to be pressured. I think this offensive line is going to be stressed. I think Mahomes, you could play, I think 35, 36 passing attempts is legitimate. I don't think that the running game for the Chiefs today is going to be effective. And I think it's going to be on Mahomes to make plays through the passing game. And I think deflections and just when you throw the ball that many times against this secondary for the Eagles, they are very opportunistic. They're ball hawks. I think they get one here today. I like Devontae Smith over 50 receiving yards. Like we mentioned, Erickson likes all the way up to 70. You can get better, bet them both if you want, but you can scroll it up and get plus money if you go above this. I like Hurts to go over 199.5 passing yards. So maybe he throws for 201. Pack is right. I'm right as well. We can middle it. You could bet them both if you want. If you find a book that 140 is what I got it at from a juice perspective. Someone in the chat said that right now the ESPN bets got it at 199.5 or minus 145. So the juice is a little bit higher there, but not that great. And we talked about Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown score already. I think the tush push comes in here and Jalen Hurts gets in the end zone for the Eagles. All right, let's get to some game props here for today, as all of us are on different things game prop wise. Let's start, Pat, with you. The most sacks, you like the Eagles to get after Patrick Mahomes today. I agree.
Yeah, especially at that price. I mean, who do we think is going to throw more in this game, Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts? I think it's going to be Mahomes. And the Eagles had 2 more sacks than the Chiefs in the regular season. I'm not sure why the odds are so generous here.
I would agree. Under 275.5. Is that just the Chiefs or is that the whole game?
That's
rushing?
The whole game, both teams.
Interesting.
And yeah, so the Eagles and Chiefs combined to average 284.6 rushing yards a game during the regular season, but defensively they combined to allow 206 rushing yards per game. I don't think these teams are going to be able to run up and down the field on each other with 2 of the better run defenses in the league. The Eagles ranked 2nd in DVOA against the run. The Chiefs ranked 9th. So I think there's a little bit of value in betting the under here on 275.5 total.
Total players to record a pass. All right. Which team is doing the Philly special here? Okay. So we're going quarterback, and who is throwing the ball in the air?
How about the team that did the ring around the Rosie play in last year's Super Bowl? I mean, it's the Chiefs. Like they're going to empty the playbook in the Super Bowl, and the Eagles probably will too. I like getting almost 2-1 on someone other than Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts attempting a pass in this game.
Okay. Mason, you're just joining us. Yes, Pat likes the under 214.5 passing yards. I like the over 199.5. So we're on different sides, but 2 very different numbers for Hurts's passing. Erickson, for you, longest touchdown comes for the Eagles. Who gets it and when?
It could be any of these guys. I think I like Xavier Worthy to have an explosive play in this game, but he can have explosive play, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't score. So that's one of the factors that you remember. It has to be a longest touchdown. But when you look at how these teams have been explosive all year long, I mean, it's not even close. Right? Which team has been the more explosive offense? So the Eagles, one of the most explosive odds of the season. Only the Ravens have generated more plays of 40+ yards. The Chiefs had the 2nd worst explosive play rate in the NFL in 2024. The Philadelphia Eagles defense allowed the least explosive play rate during the regular season. Eagles scored 18 touchdowns of 20+ yards. The Chiefs scored 7, one of which was a defensive touchdown. So yes, like the defensive thing could also throw a wrench in this bet, but at minus 110 from one team that has had clearly been the favored team to score a longest touchdown that's more explosive. They should have more guys. It has to be Worthy, in my opinion. Like, is Travis Kelce going to rip off a 60-yard touchdown run? Like, because they're going to miss 3 different tackles like in the Texans game. I don't think that's going to happen. So really, it is only Worthy, and I guess I'm hedging against it a little bit because of I like Worthy to have a big play, so I can kind of save my bacon there. But this one to me, it screams out Barkley. It could even be Hurts as a rusher. It could be Smith. It could be Brown. But then it's Kareem Hunt. No, it's not going to be Kareem Hunt. It's not going to be Travis Kelce. So it's only Worthy that I'm only really concerned about, or maybe Hollywood Brown. But yeah, I think that the Eagles have all the gas, and the Chiefs do not except for Xavier Worthy.
So what is the juice that you're paying or getting for both teams to complete their first pass attempt?
This was also minus 110.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So yeah, I this one has hit in, so the last 4 Super Bowls that the Chiefs have played in, the quarterbacks are 7-1 towards hitting their first pass attempt. So it's hit. I expect both teams to have these games scripted. My fingers crossed that the first pass attempt on the Chiefs side goes to Marquise Brown. Like
Right?
that's what I'm hoping for. So if it goes to somebody else, okay, at least I can be at least a little happy about that. But yeah, it's been hitting at a pretty high rate in recent Super Bowls, and I trust that these coaches, these quarterbacks, their experience. Again, this isn't their first Super Bowl, so I don't think Mahomes and Hurts are going to have all these. Oh my God, I have all these nerves. I don't know what to do.
Right.
Get a pass out, get a quick screen, get them going. And I think they'll complete their first passes. So I like that minus 110.
2-point conversions got a lot of love. I think it's a good play, right? I mean, this is almost, it's kind of like Hurts touchdown, 2-point conversion. Most likely these teams one of the 2 teams will go for 2. The question is, do they get it? Right.
Yeah. The 2-point conversion. And then the other bet that I like is, the Eagles, over 1.5 fourth down conversions. I just want as much exposure on the tush push as I can get.
Fair.
We're talking about this play being outlawed,
right?
And we get to bet on it happening and being successful. Take advantage of this, people, because we don't know. We're gonna look up. Oh, it's banned because it was unstoppable. Yes, we talk about how good the Chiefs are with Reed and Mahomes. The Chiefs don't have an unstoppable play. the Eagles do. It's 1st and 8 every single time they start a drive. It's 1st and 8. So take advantage, try to find ways to bet on the tush push. Obviously, we like Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown. That's kind of like the easiest way to get exposure to it. But I think that the Eagles are going to try to get those conversions as often as they can. So 4th downs, tush push, 2-point conversion. Let's get the tush push. Let's do it. Let's get more points. So that's kind of my angle on just taking advantage of a play that no one has been able to stop it. So we'll see.
Finally, Triple Crown. This is to score touchdowns. Hurts, Smith, Barkley.
So the Triple Crown, this is another special that you can get at some of these sports
books.
Who's
leading, passing, receiving, and rushing.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So you have, Barkley, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Like he's the favorite to lead in rushing. So we'll take him. And then Hurts and Smith. I really like Smith as a long shot to be the most productive receiver in this game. Him to have the most receiving yards is 6-1. I like those odds. And then Hurts, it just hurts for Mahomes. Now Mahomes should be the favorite, as he should. But I don't know. I have this feeling, and maybe it was because of some of the content I absorbed this week, but I think that the Eagles are going to be forced to throw the ball a little bit more. With so much attention on Saquon Barkley, shouldn't Spagnuolo's strategy be, hey, make Jalen Hurts beat us? Because we're not going to win if Saquon's rushing for 150 plus yards. So let Jalen Hurts beat us. And if he's throwing interceptions, that remains to be seen. But I mean, his passing yards are so low as they are already. Obviously, the Hurts one's probably the one I'm most concerned about, just because I don't think the Chiefs can really run the football with Hunt and Pacheco. So Mahomes is going to have his fair share of dropbacks and passing yards. So that's obviously why it's plus 1,400. But I'm trying to correlate the picks here, right? If it's Smith that's going off, Hurts is there along for the ride. And then Barkley's pretty self-explanatory.
Jeff Bell, you have Saquon at even money, anytime touchdown. Yeah, you definitely got to call that out. That's a boost. That's just a boost. Like that's not a typical. The sports books is trying to give you a gift on that, because that's $2 or higher for Saquon to score here today. For me, we talked about the shortest touchdown, under 1.5 yards. Anytime there's a flag in the end zone, the ball goes to the 1. You have a methodical offense in the Eagles, who tend to go slowly down the field at times. I think you'll see them get inside the red zone. They're going to run the ball. And as Andrew said, the more you can expose yourself to the tush push, the better. That's a 1-yard touchdown. Tush push, Jalen Hurts, kind of correlated on that. I think the higher half scoring, this is a typical bet for the Super Bowl. Yes, both these teams have been here, but it's still a Super Bowl. And in the first quarter, both teams tend to get off to slower starts. We don't see fast starts typically in the Super Bowl. And so you tend to see the second half be a higher scoring between the two halves. Shop for that price. That price can be kind of all over the place if you find the books on this. So try to get the best number you can get for that, for the second half to be higher scoring. I don't think you should bet overtime, but if you want to bet overtime, this factors in. The overtime scoring goes into the second half, so which is the higher scoring half. Also adjustments. Both these coaching staffs are very good at adjustments. The Chiefs in particular are really good at making halftime adjustments. And there's a very long halftime show, like we know with Kendrick Lamar playing for 45, whatever the hell it is, minutes. We got a long time to make those adjustments offensively if there's not a scoring in the first half, to have more scoring in the second half. And then this number for the Eagles was minus 510 to have a rushing touchdown because of Hurts and because of Saquon Barkley. But I think the Chiefs as well, deep down, in the red zone, 5-yard line in, you have Pacheco and you have a Kareem Hunt running attack. And then Mahomes has been running more in the red zone. We saw him with that 10-yard run against the Bills in the AFC Championship game. This number was only minus 150. And so I went ahead and took that minus 150 for the Chiefs to have a rushing touchdown. Pat, how do you feel about the Chiefs to have a rushing touchdown today? Because you tend to like the under on these rushing yards.
Yeah, I still like that, though. Minus 150 for any sort of rushing touchdown for the Chiefs. I think that's a good price.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Guys, if you're in the chat, we're running a first touchdown conversation. So go ahead and we're going to pick a winner at random, and you guys will get a free BP prize. So who scores the first touchdown today? Go ahead and run that, jump that in there in the live chat. Go ahead and put it in. Who you think scores first in the Super Bowl, and we'll give you guys there. The last 2 years, the Chiefs have used purple Gatorade, in case you guys are so inclined to bet those ridiculous markets, if you want to get involved with that. I got a couple of things on the way out, guys, to ask you before we go in this. Heads or tails on the coin flip? Where are we?
Tails never fails.
Pat? Heads or tails?
I used to think that too. And the 2 times I was ever a captain and got to call a coin toss, I called tails and it came up heads both times. So I'm going heads.
I'm going heads because some Yahoo put $20,900 down on that stupid market. So he put tails. I'll be on the book side.
Terrell and I have a side wager on the coin toss. So the loser has to buy the other a beverage of choice at Las Vegas. And he messaged me that he was saying, hey, this guy put on this wager. So just so you're ready for it.
Yeah, that's an insane. I don't know what the heck that guy is doing, but he obviously has too much money to bet on that. Will the game be tied again after 0-0? Yes or no? Andrew?
I'm going to say no. I don't think it gets tied again. No, I think that, I don't think it's tied.
Pat?
I suspect yes. At some point it will be.
I like it as a 1-score game, so I have to think that like at some point it's 10-10, it's 17-17. At some point we get a tie if this is going to be a close game. So if you're right, Andrew, I might be dead. I mean, this might be a 10-point win for one side or the other. Somebody might get out and run away with it. And then we're like, oh, shoot. Like it just gets, loose.
I feel like the Eagles can't be in a position where they can play the game tight if they want to win. Because if they play a tight game against Chiefs, they're going to lose. Okay. Like that's usually what happens. And the Chiefs are in a situation where the Chiefs can be down 3 in the fourth quarter, and they're like, right, we got it right where we want them, baby. Like, they're like hyped, or like we're ready for this.
The waterfall of money that would come in if that situation, it would be just the books. They'll
be favored to win. They'll be down by 3 points. Like, oh yeah, they're favorites. You want to bet the Chiefs? So that'll be minus 140, please.
There'll be a lot. Devontae Smith, Kareem Hunt, AJ Brown, Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley. Oh, we're all over the place on these first time touchdown guys. I love it. Which team scores first? Eagles or Chiefs, Andrew?
I will go with the Chiefs.
Pat?
Chiefs.
Woo, baby. I'll take the Eagles. I'm going against all you guys. I think the Chiefs will win the coin flip and then defer. Eagles get the ball. They go down and they kick a field goal.
As long as it's Hurts scoring, that's what I feel the best. Like that is my number one bet is the Hurts touchdown. I do not want to bet. I do not want to be on the bad end of the tush push.
Fair.
I don't. And it's minus 1. It's minus 110, minus 115 for an unstoppable play.
So
Hurts, please.
This is a great one for props. You can find this one. Which team will commit the first accepted penalty? Pat, you go first. Chiefs or Eagles? Which team commits the first accepted penalty, not declined, accepted penalty?
I'll see it. It will be the Chiefs, and it will be one of their linemen false start. A false start on a Chiefs lineman.
Andrew?
Oh, yeah. Wait, what are these odds at?
It's just every book's going to be different. Let's just say minus 110 on both sides.
Well, what's his name again? It's Taylor, right?
Jawan Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like I mean, he's just like he's good for what's it under over on his false start penalties, like 2.5.
But that's the problem, right? So this crew, okay, guys, in case you're curious, this crew is heavy on two types of penalties: offensive and defensive holding. Okay, those are the two things that they're big on. They call a lot of it in the secondary. They call a lot of it on the offensive line. So if they're calling holding on the Chiefs, which is Eagle fans' refrain from the last Super Bowl, remember that? The Chiefs went into the game as the number one most penalized offensive holding team in football, and there were 0 holds called in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and Eagle fans' head exploded. I would expect holding calls early. I think the Chiefs get it, and I think a holding call is going to come early on this Chiefs offensive line. It may not come late, but I think early you could see it come in pretty early with this. Let's see. How many yards will the longest touchdown? We already talked about that. You guys are on that. Which team scores last? Eagles or the Chiefs?
I have to go with the Chiefs also.
Right.
If I'm picking them to win,
Right.
got to go. Maybe it's a walk-off field goal.
Oh,
Oh, man.
Erickson.
I'm trying to think.
Who scores last?
I think it might be. I'm trying to think that situation where one of the teams lets the other team score so they can get the ball back. So, but that would be a situation where the Eagles probably win. Where I could see a scenario where the Chiefs are like, "Oh, just let the Eagles score so we can get Mahomes the ball back." But I don't think Chiefs for me then, because I don't think the Eagles are going to win.
Two more. Will there be an octopus? Bunch of people in the chat. Octopus, guys, don't know. Same player scores the touchdown and a 2-point play. You like 2-point play, Erickson. So
I know.
Hurts
did in the last Super Bowl too. Hurts did in the last Super Bowl too. I mean, when they've gone for 2, they've done it 4 times. They've had 3 successful 2-point conversions. On the ensuing 2-point conversion after the touchdown, it was the same guy that was involved 3 times. So if it's anyone, it's Jalen Hurts. Again, I refuse to bet against the tush push. So I will say yes. I am not betting this though. I have too much already, as you guys already know. So I'm not doing it.
Pat, octopus, yes or no?
Point of clarity: if Hurts gets a tush push touchdown and throws for the 2-point conversion pass, does that count?
No,
it does not count.
Yeah,
All right, I'm gonna say no.
Yeah,
no,
I agree. The only way you
guys are probably right.
Yeah, with a 2-point
I can't run this hot. This is impossible.
Because Saquon's the only way that we're getting it, right? Because I think you're right about because Jalen Hurts on a tush push, they're not doing it from the 3, from 2.5 yard line. They're going to do it if there's a false start or there's something on the defense that puts the offense back on the field from the 1. That's possible, but that's on the extra point attempt. You would need a false start or you need an offsides on the Chiefs, and they determine to take the point off the board to go for 2. That's risky in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Sirianni won't do it, but a lot of things have to happen in that way for all this to come in.
If anyone gets the octopus, it's going to be Kelsey.
Really?
Where it's the octopus. Yeah. The touchdown catch, 2-point conversion catch. I don't think it's going to happen, but that is who I would bet for an octopus.
Was the ring around the Rosie a pass attempt or a rush?
Oh,
I don't remember.
I can't even remember what actual.
It was a
play.
rush.
What actually happened on that play?
It was a wildcat to Kelsey, right?
But it was logged as a rushing attempt. I think.
Yes, I think you're right.
It wasn't a pass. Okay,
no, it wasn't a pass. It was a rushing attempt.
Was like a pass, quote unquote, but it wasn't logged as one. Oh, that's gonna be. I
think it was a pass because it was a. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was logged as a pass. I think you're right.
Shovel pass?
Yes.
Oh no, I thought it was like it looks like a pass, like when you're watching the game, but then they went back and said it was a rush.
Okay, maybe. I can't remember. I remember the dancing.
Which I can see Fitz already like yelling at his TV if they don't hit the over on the 2.5 pass attempts because they call it a run.
Yeah, you'd be like, wait a minute, you should call that a pass.
Sal informs us it's plus 145 for a Kelsey octopus. I don't know if the price is quite good enough on that.
Yeah,
it's plus 145.
Yeah, that's
longer than that. Oh,
I know
man.
it could be.
Oh, gross.
The longest field goal over or under 47.5 yards. It was 48.5. It's been bet down to 47.5.
I'll take the over with Bucker in a dome.
Right? I mean, but Buckner's been dealing with a hip injury, so he's not 100%. And then I think the Eagles, everyone's like, they're not going to trust Elliott. I think that they will. I mean, it's indoors. Let him go. I mean, outdoors he's had his problems, but why not? I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Let him try a 50-yard field goal.
Do we like him to make a 50-yard field goal is the question. I don't know
I
if I
think he
do.
can. I don't know. I think Jake
Well,
Elliott. I think the hate is real on Jake Elliott.
Well, I guess the thing is too, if either, or especially with Elliott, like if he misses the first one, he's going to get the hook. They're like, we're not going back to him, so he's only going to get one shot to do it. Whereas Butker, like, he's been in so many high profile situations. He could miss 2 field goals, and they're still going to like trot him out there unless Reed is like he doesn't have it today or something. But Elliott, Sirianni's going to panic and be like, we got to get this guy out of here. We're never kicking again. Like, we're going to go tush push again. Let's go.
I think that, I don't know. I think the indoors, both coaches are going to feel comfortable letting their kickers go. I think the question is, like Pat said, do they hit it? Do they hit the long field goal when they're given the chance to do it? But like, there's been, as a Patriot fan, Andrew, you know this, like we've had so many memories in this building, like so many memories for the Patriots in Super Bowls. I see Vinatieri, who didn't get into the Hall of Fame, amazingly enough this week, which I don't get, but like, I just have images of his kicks and, Belichick, or their Parcells, like going ahead and like allowing these kicks to happen, allowing the long field goals to happen in New Orleans just because it's a dome. And so I don't know. I just lean towards it. The pros are betting the under, but I think there's a good shot that we see one of the two kickers line up, and then it's just a question of whether or not they actually make that kick or not. Do you guys like the kicking props in terms of like punts? Punts were 7.5. They're down to 6.5.
Somebody in my mention said that their like lock of the week was like something to do with punts. I'm trying to see
under 7.5 punts. There's a lot of pro money, a lot of professionals here in Vegas under 7.5 punts.
Yeah, under the 7. Yeah.
Matt, didn't you win a big Super Bowl prop last year for a punt being downed inside the 5 or the 10?
I did. Yep. I did.
I remember that one. I tailed that one. That was fun.
I can't find that market.
Yeah, I looked all over and didn't see any sort of.
They said no to that market for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that was a bet last year because of the kickers. There was some level of like, I don't know. I think it was inside the 10 or inside the 5-yard line. I think it was like 3-1, 4-1.
And it happened early. It was like one of the first punts. Yeah.
I went 8-0 in my plays last year. I could not get a bet right to save my life in the playoffs. And then I swept the board in the Super Bowl, and I went 8-0 in the Super Bowl. So I'm going to go 0-8.
Really hoping I channel my inner Perrault today.
I'll be
flying first class, baby. Let's go.
If you lose, if you get skunked here, I'll be waiting for you with a beer coming up tomorrow. Here in Vegas. Pat, closing thoughts on the last football game of the year.
Enjoy it. Eat, drink, and be merry. It's the end of the NFL season, and it's going to be too long before anyone tackles each other in anger again.
Amen. Andrew, for you, final thoughts?
Have some fun. Football's supposed to be fun. This is a fun game to watch. These two teams going at it, and don't be disappointed when the Chiefs win again. Just please, just like enough. Just don't be disappointed again.
Yeah, I'll say two things. One, on the game. Eagles, please, just please, just make it more entertaining, make it more fun. We're all sick and tired of the Chiefs in a variety of ways, and we get even worse. It's more Taylor. It's more, look, I think Kelsey will retire if he wins today. So I think that the beginning of the end of this generation of Chief dynasties is coming to a close after this year, because I do think they'll start to lose coaches and players like Kelsey. So what does that do in the future? I don't know. If they lose, he might stick around, but I still think this may be the last game for Travis Kelsey, given the fact that his girlfriend wants to go and she's looking at other things. They're going to move to Rhode Island. The rumor is that the Kelsey Swift family will start in Rhode Island. So if you're living in New England, get ready for a whole lot of that every summer. But then to end it, thank you to Sal for all the work that he did this year on Sundays. This was awesome. Thank you to guys in the audience for being a part of this. It was super fun to do this again. I can't wait to get going with it all again, or with BettingPros. If you guys haven't subscribed to the BettingPros YouTube channel, please do that, because we got a lot of variety of things coming at you for NBA, college basketball. We go heavy into college basketball after this is over. You guys love NBA player props, so there'll be tons of stuff with Terrell and Fast Break Bets coming at you guys. So lots more content with BettingPros. They're all coming out here, so you guys are going to see stuff on social media. We got all of it. I haven't met like all of you guys in person. This is going to be a wild thing. I've been talking to you guys for 4 freaking years. I never met you in person, so this is going to be a lot of fun for me to have you guys here in Vegas. So travel safe. Guys, be safe. Don't drink and drive. Don't do anything stupid, okay? Ubers are your friend. Cabs are your friend. We want to see you all coming back here next season for another 18, 19, 20, 24 weeks, whatever the NFL is going to do from a schedule standpoint for starting with week 1 of the NFL next September. For Sal, Andrew, Pat, I'm Matt. Have an awesome Super Bowl, everybody. We'll talk to you next year for the NFL live stream here with Betting Pros.